So thank you everyone for watching this. I think this is definitely a very exciting presentation for us because when preparing this, we thought that everyone that's attending this, because we named this Build a Thriving Running Practice, has some type of career aspirations around working with runners. So a lot of our content and a lot of our information that we put out is really clinical based, and we do a lot about teaching an ecosystem of how to work with runners. And I feel like this is equally, if not even more important, because whether you're looking to build your skills working with runners or try to pay your bills working with runners, this is a really important thing that you get more runners coming in the door. And that's what we're going to spend a lot of time talking about tonight. And I'm really excited because this content is really at the core of what Run DNA does, that we're really here to help people create these thriving running practices and just really live out their dream working with runners. So for those of you that are not familiar with me, my name is Doug Adams. I'm the CEO of Ace Running / Run DNA. And also I own a clinic called Omega Project. And if just a quick background story, if you don't know me, I started my career in academia and worked there. And I was really lucky to have a lot of mentorship and got to work with very premier researchers and get some great experience there. And then as I moved into a clinical setting, more of an outpatient setting, I started getting pretty frustrated because I wanted to be a sports-minded physical therapist. And as I got out there, it was really hard to make both a name for myself, but also really to see the patients that I loved. So quick, I worked really hard and struggled and really went through the whole process and actually started creating the courses that we now call Certified Running Gait Analyst, and those have been around for about a decade now. So we filmed those a while ago and got those started, but really still continue to struggle and have to put a lot of effort in, and found that I missed having some of the access to the tools that I needed. So that's the point at which we created the Helix 3D, the portable 3D motion analysis system. And when I did that, that really set me up for success. And I knew that I had the tools and resources that I needed. So in about 2018, I started Omega Project, and that really launched off just a career that I just consider myself extremely lucky to have, that I'm so grateful for, because I just nerd out about running all day, every day. I have the clinic of my dreams and work in that environment and just get to really do what I love every day. And it gives me a lot of freedom. So basically that's me in a nutshell. And I get to play around with the military a bunch and professional runners and get to just geek out about running at all levels there. So it's really fun. And so, today we really wanted to talk about how to get runners in the door and how to create this thriving practice. So I'm going to share a little bit of my experience at Omega Project and talk to you about some things that have worked and kind of what that journey looked like, and give some more detail, because we found that that's kind of our flagship clinic here, to show when I created Omega Project, is said, well, I need to prove that this education, this device, this app, that it really works, so that we can actually show that there's a really great return on investment, and it can be a really fun way to design your career around. And then I'm going to share a little bit of this middle objective here. We're going to talk about some of the marketing aspect of that, and why we're talking about marketing tonight as a key to creating your thriving running practice. And then third, towards the end, we've talked with so many clinicians now and clinics, and we've gotten to know so many people at events and just doing calls. And we've really kind of figured out the real secret that's probably holding you back with your marketing efforts. And we're going to share that. And we're going to be pretty upfront and blunt about some of these things, and really have some good conversations. And, at the end, at the Q&A, I'd love some discussion and some questions and things. So I really would love to hear what you're thinking about that. So the Omega Project journey here, this slide, it was a fun one to put together, because I went back and looked at the month-over-month revenue for Omega Project from the time that we started. So I started Omega Project September 7th, 2018. And my wife and I were fully prepared to be eating peanut butter and jelly for a couple of years, saying, I'm starting a endurance clinic in Wilmington, Delaware. Not exactly a hot spot for runners there, but I wanted to follow my passion and my dreams there. And we opened this clinic based around using the 3D motion analysis and just providing really cash-based services and the highest quality of care that we could. So That picture at the top left, we literally opened it and there was 2 tables, a Woodway treadmill and a 3D device. And that's all we really had. And I was like, great, clinic's done. We're all set. And we've added a lot along the way and really turned it into something that's a great welcoming environment. But it's been a journey. And what we see here is you can see how there was growth in revenue, and it's gone to a point that I didn't even really, think that we would be able to achieve, let alone in the 5 years that it's kind of been an operation, where we've just seen year-over-year growth, whereas we've added employees, and we had a little COVID blip in there that changed some of the growth trajectory, but we really just saw quickly how we went to a wait list very shortly within the first couple of weeks of being open. We saw a really good response to it. And at the bottom, I put down some of year over year what we really focus on from a marketing effort, starting in 2019. Some of the key things that we did: discovery sessions, workshops, going to running stores. We were writing thank you letters. We did screen nights. We were sponsoring as many people as we could kind of afford. And it was a really great experience. And we developed it, and we started thinking about, all right, we still really like these, but do we need to do some other things? And we started working with more professional athletes and started email marketing. And 2020 is kind of around the time that we weren't able to get as much in-person interaction with people. We needed a new way to connect, and we kind of stumbled upon something that was extremely helpful for us. But you can see as 2021, 2022, and even 2023, how we've evolved and we've done different things, and you can kind of equate some of those different things to growth. And as we've gone and really found the things that have made a big difference for us. But along the way, I think an important part of this, and having talked to a lot of clinics now, it's also important to say, well, there's not necessarily a formula, and this is not everyone should be doing the same things that Omega Project did, that it was a very step-by-step process here, because along the way, we learned a lot, and we asked a very important question here. What is the one thing that in doing such, everything else would be easy or unnecessary when it goes to marketing? And this is, for those of you that know me, I have young kids, and I quote Frozen 2 once in a while. I actually love that movie. Frozen 2 is great. And I quote Poppy here: when one can see no future, all you can do is the next right thing, right? And that's from a marketing standpoint. If you feel lost, I see a raised hand. Maybe somebody feels my Frozen 2 glory there. But if you're feeling lost, if you don't know what to do, you just need to do the next right thing. It's what is the one thing. And if that thing makes everything else easy or unnecessary, then that's what you really want to focus on. And we see people often take this shotgun approach without really knowing what's happening and what they need to do. And I'm going to give you the surprising one thing answer at the end that I think a lot of people are not seeing, that they really can't see, and it's hard to see and look upon yourself and self-reflect to see that this thing is the thing that you're not doing. And we're going to share that towards the end here. So then preparing for this presentation, I said, well, let me put an outline together and let me check it out. And then I did the modern day thing, as I said, also, let me ask ChatGPT and let's see what AI says. And it was really pretty interesting that I really liked the response from ChatGPT. And they said, attracting more runners to a physical therapy practice involves a combination of targeted marketing strategy, specialized expertise, and a patient-focused approach. And then it listed a bunch of different approaches that you can use. And if you read this list and look at this, if you're watching the recording here, you can see that a lot of these things are really good, solid advice, and things that I've told practices that we work with and clinicians that we've mentored and people that have gone through courses. We've talked about all these things about content marketing, engaging with running communities, and stay active on social media, and patient-centered approach, and track results. But if you look at this list, and you can probably say, how many of these things are you actually doing right now? You might be doing a lot of these things. You might be doing half of them. You might be doing all of them. But I still think, and this is my feedback on ChatGPT, I think it's really good and can be a great resource for some of this stuff. But it gives you an above average response with some of this stuff. It doesn't tell you what you need to be doing. It doesn't tell you what is that one thing that you really need to be able to do. What's most important right now that you should be doing? What kind of list? Because we didn't do everything all at once when we started with Omega Project. That takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of effort. And it doesn't mean that you're going to get results just by putting more resources into it if you don't know what's the most important thing right now. And we did, to follow up with this, we did a survey of our community. And we sent out a question that said, what is the biggest challenge that you face with your running practice right now? And it was really insightful and really helpful information. And we actually even scored the rank, and we ranked all of the different responses to see how engaged each response was and what they were looking for. And we looked at, was the person a clinic owner, an employee, an aspiring clinic owner, what they were doing. And it was really interesting that there were three main categories when it came down to the responses. And it broke down into clinical skills. I need to learn how to get patients better, quicker, or more efficiently. It came down to business practices of how do I set up pricing? How do I structure it? Should I do cash pay? Should I do insurance? Those types of things. But then by far the number one thing was marketing. And everyone said something along to the lines of getting more runners in the door was what they really needed. So this is part of our effort of we're really creating resources to help people understand how to get more runners in the door and what they can do from a marketing perspective. Now, all three of these are important categories, though. You need to have the clinical skills. You need to have the business practices. If we take those ChatGPT responses of what we should be doing, they also fit into the three categories as well. And you can break those down of saying, hey, that patient-centered approach that ChatGPT said, well, that's clinical skills, understanding runners' needs, building credibility. All of those things are on those clinical skills. And then there's the business practices of offering specialized services, collaborating with running coaches, those types of things. And then your marketing efforts, your social media, your content marketing, all of those things really fit into those three buckets. So it makes it a little bit more manageable to say, hey, what should I be really focusing on right now? Where is my most improvement from a marketing standpoint or from a business standpoint? Should I be focusing on my clinical skills, my business practices, my marketing? And that can make it a little bit more digestible. But again, still doesn't really tell you exactly what you need to do. And that's why we've created this. And this is something that we've really defined and redefined and really helped ourselves to create what we call the customer journey. Because what we see, and after talking to lots of businesses and practice owners, we see that a lot of times they're doing all of those efforts, but there's not a plan. There's not a cohesiveness to what they're doing. There's no journey that they expect the customer to go through. And that's what I think a lot of practices are missing. They might be doing social media posts, but why are they doing a social media post? What's the purpose of it? Where does it fit into the life cycle of who their customer is? And this is something that we've started teaching a lot of our new Helix 3D sites. We started teaching some of this and sharing these videos with them and helping them understand setting up this customer journey, because this is a way to get repeatable, excellent results of getting not just clinical results, but getting runners in the door. And it starts with the brand identity. This is the most important part. This is kind of an upside down funnel of thinking of that, looking at this chart where we have lots of people to start, and then we're funneling it down and getting them to the sale. So if we look at this blue spot here, we're seeing that's brand identity. That's most important. This is something that even early on with Omega Project, as specialized as we were, that we're a cash-based endurance clinic offering 3D gait analysis, you would think that's pretty specialized, but we actually had to boil down even more our brand identity and who our ideal customer is. And we saw that made all the difference in the world. And if you've ever written copy for social media or for newsletters or email marketing, Facebook ads, whatever you're doing, it can be really challenging. And the big challenge with that is if you're not talking specifically to a customer, because if you're trying to talk to 4 different customers at once, it's really hard to get a message that resonates with any of them. And that's where we see a lot of people struggle, is that they're trying to talk to 4 different groups. I had a great conversation. I'm doing a podcast with somebody coming up that they have a specialized business focusing on middle-aged women with hip pain that are runners. And that's her entire practice is focusing on that. And that's a really easy way that she can speak very clearly and give a message that resonates with that group so that they say, this is my person. This is the person that's going to help me out. So it starts with understanding who your brand is, why you're doing this, and who that ideal customer is, and making sure that that is part of every single thing that you do from a marketing standpoint, because that adds a lot of genuine realness to what you're doing. And that is really important for what you're doing with marketing. Now, as we move down in this graphic here, that the next part is where this kind of infinite process goes here. That's where we have the infinity symbol in there. And what we see is this is where a lot of people get in trouble, is they don't understand what the customer journey is and what it should look like. So when you're doing a Facebook ad or you're doing a social media post, a big mistake that we see a lot of people do is they ask people to marry them before they ask them to go on a date. Before they even engage the person, they're trying to say, hey, let's go, let's put a ring on it and let's get married. So when you're doing something and when you're thinking of writing a newsletter or doing these posts, you have to think of, what's the purpose of this? What am I hoping to gain? And what is the clear call to action that I want somebody viewing this to do? So if you want to engage somebody, you're trying to capture their email or have some way that you can contact them in the future, but it's a micro commitment. It's not something large. It is something that they can just bite off a little bit and say, great, this is interesting to me. I don't know if everything you do is interesting, but this is, and I'm willing to find out more with it. So that's a person, when I told you in 2020, we kind of stumbled on email marketing. That was huge for us because luckily we had been capturing our patients, their emails, and we have that in a list. But then we started gathering more lists and we started reaching out and we started engaging people and understanding, hey, this is where a lead magnet comes in. And the goal of a lead magnet isn't to get somebody to sign up for a gait analysis. It's just to have them give you your email, and that's so that you can connect with them, which is the central, most important part. And that's why it's in the middle of this triangle here. The connection with your customers is the most important thing. And the most important thing to do with the connection is give. That's most important. Don't worry about selling it first. Give lots of value. Lots of information. So at Omega Project, we do a quick tip Tuesday. It went out today, like it has pretty much every other Tuesday. We don't miss many, if any, there. And that is such an informational newsletter that goes out, and we give lots of information. And we hear from people all the time like, oh, wow, those exercises you gave me, I was having some pain and that really helped. Great. That person didn't come in to see us, but guess who we have credibility and trust with? And if that exercise didn't improve their pain, they're going to come and see us, because runners have lots of injuries and they're going to wind up needing you at some point here. So if you build credibility and trust during this connection phase, when it comes time to buy, when you're selling them something, they're already 1 foot in the door. And that is the most important part, that you have established this trust and credibility with them so that they are ready at the point where it's just a quick reminder. I can't tell you how many times that Quick Tip Tuesday, we have patients that either come in and say, oh, my friend forwarded this to me and you just really spoke to me and this is exactly what I needed. Even last Friday, we had a really good example. We wrote an IT band email newsletter, and we had a past patient who was like, this has been bothering me for a couple of weeks. What you said is exactly what happened to me. I wasn't sure what to do. It was really good that you guys reminded me, can I come in sometime for an appointment? So that person re-engaged, and you want to keep that person in your ecosystem and keep connecting with them. Because then when you sell to them, it's much easier because you're not really selling. You're just asking them and you're setting them up for the step before a sale so that they are like, I'm ready. Here we go. I have a need. I value your solution. And then they buy in. And then after that, what you want to do is deliver just a great customer experience. And that's where you use everything you learn in the Certified Running Gait Analyst courses. And you say, hey, I'm going to deliver a great experience. I'm going to get you better, faster, quicker. And that's going to really resonate with that person. And then after that you're deputizing that community. You are getting people that have purchased from you. They are going to be your word of mouth referrals, and you continue to connect with them. And then you go through this infinite cycle of just connecting, selling, deputizing, and engaging new people and bringing it in. And then if you track your results along the way to see what works best, that'll really help you to just continue to pick up steam as you go. This is a really critical part of any marketing effort, and that you need to understand the customer journey. And this is something that we spend a lot of time with our Helix 3D sites, making sure that they understand these concepts. We're looking at their website, their social media. We're making sure that they understand these things and how it fits in, that they understand this concept. What is the purpose of this communication, of this marketing effort? Am I trying to engage somebody? Am I connecting with them? Or am I selling to them? Or am I trying to get them back into the cycle and deputize them? And it starts with that brand identity. So that's a huge part of it, and something I really value that we see. And to make the most of this, there's some keys to marketing success. Consistency is key. You're not going to get results the first post that you do. Nothing's going to go viral the first time you do it. Maybe 1 in a million people will, but consistency is key. You have to do it. It has to be expected. We have hundreds of these newsletters that we've put out every Tuesday, and that makes a big difference there. So then you have to have that really clear message, and the client has to be the hero. I look at a lot of websites of a lot of sites, and I know when somebody understands marketing, when the first words are about the transformation that the patient goes through, instead of I've got these credentials, or I've done this, or I've done that. When you start talking about your own credentials, that's great. And maybe that builds some credibility, but you're not getting the trust. You're not getting as much credibility as you could if you're not showing the transformation that the patient's going through. And then most importantly, it has to be genuine. It can't be, hi, I'm just seeing these patients because they're injured all the time. Like, you have to really care about these patients. You have to really want to get runners better. And that has to be genuine, because it'll be seen. That's the thing about working with runners. They'll know in an instant if you're just going through the motions. They know if you can talk their language, if you understand. That's the whole reason we created the endurance running coaching course, right? We wanted patient or clinicians to understand what the language of running is, what the training programs look like, how to go through those things. It has to be absolutely genuine. Now, these are keys to marketing success, but we talked about the secret and what that really is. And the secret and the big reason that we were successful with Omega is we went all in, and we went beyond the point of no return. And if you've ever read something by Ben Hardy, I think is a PhD who really talked about this. He's like organizational psychology. He said the point of no return is a point at which you stop avoiding what you fear and fully approach what you want. And that is what we see most people are lacking. They are still fear-driven, and they're more worried about what if this fails, or what if somebody else does this, or what if somebody else has that, or what if I'm not good enough. Their fears are driving them, and they're not willing to go all in. And they're not willing to go beyond that fear and fully approach what they want. And that's what I had to do at Omega. I have a very understanding wife, but I left a good, steady job and said, I'm going all in. I am starting my own clinic. I am going to show everyone that this 3D technology works, and you have to go all in, and you have to do the things. You have to have the technology. You have to do things like that. You have to go all in, because that's what runners want. We are successful at Omega Project because we are a one-stop shop. They can get their gait analysis. We can do their coaching. We can do their strength training. We can do everything that they need there. And that makes a world of difference. And that's why our customers come back to us time in and time again. And that is a huge step that most people aren't willing to do. They're not willing to go all in. And I'm not saying that you can't get good results working with runners using 2D. You can do things, and it doesn't have to be your full-time gig, and you can still be a great resource to runners. But what I'm saying is, are you reaching your full potential? Are you doing as much as you could be? If you're not using the latest in technology, If you are not going all in and saying, I want to treat runners and I want to see this population. And like I said, there are people, I know plenty of great clinicians that do a really good job with 2D, and they see it as part of their practice, and they don't want to see just runners like me, and that's fine. But if you want to be the running person, if you want to work with runners, you have to go all in. You have to have the best tools, you have to have the best resources, and you're going to get the best results when you do that. Because if you believe in what you're doing, and then you're not going to delay becoming your best self. You don't want to think about the future self and say, well, when I do this, well, why not now, right? Because you can have the freedom to do exactly what you love by helping people who value what you do when you stop living in fear. And that is the thing, when we talk to many customers on the phone, the number one thing that we know when somebody's ready is, are they willing to overcome that fear? The marketing gets really easy when you go beyond that, when you go all in. There's that saying of burn the ships, right? That was a symbol when an army invaded another country. They said, we're not going home. We're all in. We are going to do something symbolic, that we are fully committed to this, and you have to fully commit. If you want to do this as a business, that is what you need to do. I think I've sugarcoated this in the past, saying like, oh yeah, you can try this and you can try that. But if you want to be the running person, then you have to go all in. Because, ask yourself these questions. Do you want to reach your full potential? Do you, what does it look like when you do achieve that full potential? What is your life like? And then what's stopping you from doing it right now? Those are really important questions, I think, that everyone should ask themselves, because it's time to start taking actions and steps to be your best future self today. And I think that if you've struggled with marketing and you're wondering why you're doing all these efforts and things aren't landing the way that you want them to, I think you have to really ask yourself, because it wasn't marketing for me anymore when I got to Omega Project. It was really just talking about the value that I offer and letting people know that they can achieve a whole level of freedom too. There was freedom for me, but there was freedom for my clients as well. So that's the freedom that people get when all in. And that's why, we want to be there with you, and you're not alone with this, because it can be a little scary. And it definitely was nervous when I opened Omega Project. And I think my wife was too, and my business partner, and we didn't know what was going to happen. And I struggled, right? I went through a lot of struggle, and I went to figure this out. And now we really want to help you not struggle. We want you to get there quicker, because you don't have to learn from your own experience when you can take our years and years of experience, because we also have the experience of working with other sites, and we can help people out. So we are looking to see how we can help more and more clinics. And that is our whole focus, is how can we help more clinicians, more clinics achieve that level of freedom and do it fast. And we've got lots of great examples of this. So I don't know if Kristen's on the call here, but here's one example of somebody that created the practice of their dreams. This is in Minnesota, really had talked a lot and said, lots of great career background, and said, but I still really want to have my clinic and I want to see runners. And we're hearing this all the time. And that's such a great experience and such a great goal that you should go after now. And so now she's working with the clients that she loves, and she's got great balance. She just ran Chicago Marathon and finding fulfillment with that. And that's because she was willing to go all in and really go through that. So a big part of that is the technology. We have to say that the Helix 3D device is a huge part of that. If you want to be the best, if you want to learn, if you want to get the best outcome for your patients, you need to do it not just for you, but for your patients as well. Again, I know a lot of clinicians that are really good at gait analysis, but you might be good at gait analysis, but are your patients, and they need to see some of this, and they need to validate some of what you're doing and get the credibility. So that's why we created the Helix. When I first got out of the academic setting, I was really frustrated, and I struggled, and I looked at camera systems, and they were about $250,000 to get into it. And I said, well, that's never feasible for a clinician. So I said, I'm going to go create my own. And now luckily we're at about almost 100 sites that also have the Helix 3D device across the country, and that's growing every day here. So it's meant to be an all-in solution. It's everything you need to offer 3D. And we're clinicians, we don't charge you for updates. We include the laptop. We're not nickel and diming you here. There is a lease option as well for those that don't have the capital, but we have great financing rates for those as well. It really only takes 2 gait analysis a month for a return on investment. If you see here, these are the finance rates that if you can do 2 gait analysis and you do the middle option with no payments for 6 months, and the typical person charges about $400 for a gait analysis, then you're seeing a return. And that's not even talking about the lifetime value of acquiring these new patients. So for us, there's a big value. Each person that comes to my practice that wouldn't have come otherwise for 3D, that's thousands of dollars of future revenue that we're realizing with it. So if this seems scary to you, that's fine. You might not be ready for it there. But what we're saying is go beyond that fear and become the person that you want to be. And that's going to make the marketing and everything that you do easier, because you've got the tools and the resources and the environment, and you're coherent with your brand, and making sure that everything is in line with what you want to do. Some other examples of how you can see a good really return. I think Jessica's on here. So thanks. We talked about this in the past. Jessica did a great job. She's out in Los Angeles area, and she did a great way where she ran a Facebook ad. And she might have to correct me if I'm wrong on some of the stuff, but she ran a Facebook ad for $22 for a gait consult. She got about 20 people in and sold 14 packages and saw a huge return on investment with this right early on. She had only had the system for a few months, I think, and had just gotten started with a brand new practice. And this was a great driver for what she did. So you can see a great return on investment for it.
My name is David Schwartz.
Here's another example.
Blue Iron Physio in Tenafly, New Jersey. We started with the 3D Helix program from Run DNA about 4 months ago. And honestly, it's been a game changer for our business. It's been a tool that's really allowed us to take the next step to connect with our running community. Right when we got it, Doug and his team were super helpful in not only teaching us how to set the system up and make sure that we felt comfortable managing and running the system, but also giving us a business strategy to go ahead and make sure that we're able to grow the running side of our business effectively. Part of that strategy was meeting every few weeks early on to sit down and talk about how we can get more runners in the door. And one of their strategies included getting a big group in. That was kind of the big play early on, was to connect with a local running group, get them in so that they could see the system in action. We were able to do that, by the end of the second or the third month that we had the system. And on that day, we actually booked 7 evals with our patients, which was by far our most successful workshop we've ever run. And, we're only 4 months in and super excited to have the system and have appreciated all the support and help from Run DNA to this point.
And so that's David and Kat from Blue Iron. And unfortunately, they have an awesome new logo that I put in here, and it doesn't look like the graphic came in, but give them a follow. They do a great job on social media, as well as Doctors Human Movement there with Jessica. So, just really, it doesn't take long. He had only had it for a couple months, and they're seeing a good return on investment with it, but also establishing that business and connecting with their clients in a new way. So here's Kat kind of doing some of the workshop stuff. They did this. They had a bunch of new clients come in, 7 gait analysts signed up, and they're making a return on investment right away. And that's what we really see with people. And we're working really hard to make sure that you can find this. This is something we really focused on last year, and it's working, is our Find a Provider. And what we've seen is, if you're not on that list and you've done our courses, please get on that list. We've been doing a lot of publicity and podcasts and things, and we've seen a really good results with this. We had a group that has the Helix 3D, Jizen, out in the San Francisco area, and they said that they got 6 new clients from our Find a Provider on the website. They heard me on a podcast, or they read some of our blog articles, and they said, well, let me find somebody that can do this gait analysis. So we're working hard to make sure that people are finding you. And I think this group that is using Helix and is doing, and we're working together, we're really pioneering that gait analysis is something that runners need to be doing. And we are the early adopters that are really making it, and it's really taking off. And we're seeing a lot more people. We see our website traffic on that Find a Provider creeping up every day. And we're really here working with you to make sure that we're all benefiting from that from all over, because there's plenty of runners to go around there. So if you want to get started and you want to know how to go from here, and we talked a lot about marketing in the beginning and then some resources and tools in the end, but if you want to see the patients that you love and you want to get great results and you want to have the freedom that you've always desired, like, get started. There's a QR code at the bottom. If you've been thinking about getting involved and going all in on gait analysis, fill out this form. We'll be in contact with you. If you need to start with the clinical skills, go to rundna.com and check out the website and check out the courses. There's a free course there. There's also bundles and packages that we have with our gait analysis courses and our coaching courses. But if you really want to go all in on the business practices and the marketing, let's have a conversation and see if it's right for you. Let's talk and see. And we're pretty upfront whether we think that the device will be a good fit for you or not. And we have that conversation because we're in this together and we're working it together. So we're really excited that you've watched this, and we appreciate you taking the time. So fill out the QR code and let us know if you do want more information.